Yes. Welcome to the Alex Gem Experience. Okay, this podcast is going to be serious as per usual. So today's podcast is all about taking action, and not just taking action, but essentially how to do it, why it's so important, and being able to stay on track, build momentum, all of the above. So let's delve in deep. What do I mean by taking action? Now, just because you're doing things doesn't mean you're kind of doing the right things. You know, we live in a society where it's never been sexier to say, I'm busy. And being busy is good to an extent. But what's more important than being busy is doing the right thing and being busy. So a lot of people claim to be busy, but they're doing unimportant things, or they're being reactive, meaning they haven't been planning ahead. They're being caught off guard. They're being reactive, the more urgent things are, it's often a sign of someone not being in control, and often a sign of poor prioritization. So we need to spend more time every single day working on things that are important rather than things that are urgent. Now, the problem is, and this can be challenging, because if you're someone who is used to living a more reactive lifestyle, meaning that, you know, things are being thrown at you left, right and centre, you're struggling to keep on top of things, then it can be difficult for you to just go, you know what, instead, I'm just going to focus on the important things for now. Because that can be quite difficult. Because what this person will find is that they will definitely be overwhelmed, and they'll find it incredibly challenging to be balanced in that department. Because why? Well, they'll be still inundated with having to do all the reactive things whilst working on things that are really important. So let me give you a few examples of things that might be important. Developing high-income skills, for instance. What are just some examples of high-income skills? Well, let's say learning how to present, learning how to negotiate, building rapport, learning about marketing, branding, learning how to position yourself in the market, conducting customer research, learning about the newest ways to utilize social platforms and networking, and so on and so forth. These are some very high income skills that are really valuable in the marketplace today. And many more, of course, as well. So these are important things, and, you know, it depends on where you are in your life, what you want to do. I mean, who am I to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing in these departments? Everyone's different. Whether you have a career, you have a job, you're working 2 jobs, you have a business, or whatever you are currently doing, whatever you want to take action in, and it might not be related to wealth or finances, it might be something totally different, which is fine. But at the same time, we're going to need to understand that in order to work on what's important, we need to get the urgent things out the way. And it's more of a psychological switch, if you will, that we're looking for here. So now that you know some things that are important, what are some things that are more reactive based and more urgent? Well, if you've been given a deadline in the short term that's been kind of sprung up on you, if you forgot something that you needed to do, urgent things are things that are unimportant, but things that need your immediate attention, such as a quick last-minute meeting that's been put together, or part of one of your action items that you didn't foresee, or that got delegated to you last minute and you're having to do it. These things are more urgent. And, you know, sometimes you can't help having to do urgent things. Urgent things might be having to do with, you know, picking up your kid from a drama rehearsal or a dance rehearsal or what have you. These are all different things that are urgent, reactive, sprung up on you last minute, or things that you've forgotten about for one reason or another, and we'll move on to that later, that really don't make a big difference. Because if you really think about it, guys, you know, it's only 20% of the things that you do on a daily basis that bring about 80% of your results. And we need to firstly identify the things that are needle movers, the things that we do on a daily basis that make the biggest difference to your clients, to your customers, to your employees, to your employers, whatever it might be. So once we know what's urgent and what's important, now we're looking at the mindset. Because there seems to be a very strong correlation between people who are very reactive in the workplace and people who are quite reactive in their personal lives as well. And I think it comes down to blocking out time. That's one strategy that I'll give you. The importance of blocking out time to do what's important. So let me give you an example, and it's where I was. So I had a full-time job as a teacher, and I was also working part-time on my business. And I made the rule to work even harder on my business than I was as a teacher. And teachers out there, you know how difficult it is to teach. So I was really expecting a lot of myself in terms of how many hours, but also how much effort I was going to put into the part-time business on the side. So what I did was I blocked out time from say 5 in the morning to 7:30 in the morning to work on my business, to work on the hardest thing, because I'm more of a morning person. Not that early, don't get me wrong, but hey, you got to work with what you got. And then I'd work usually from like 8 to 4, maybe 8 to 5. And then the rest of the evening, I'll do more of the creative stuff or more of the social networking, the socializing type of things related to my business in the evening. And I was tend to not be at my best at that point. So I'll work on the hardest thing in the morning. I'll go do my job. And then the more creative side, like the marketing, the advertising, the branding, communicating with people, liaising with others and learning and so on and so forth, I'll do that more so in the evening. So that was me working on what was important. I might also put a block time in there, maybe an hour, where I'd either go and see family or friends or at least phone them, because that's important to me, and I'm sure that's important to you too. And you have to kind of block that in as well. You might also block in time to go and do exercise or to meditate and so on and so forth, or to read. So it's all about understanding, and you might want to take a moment here to write down what's important to you in your life and start to come up with a system. And you'll need to adhere to this system because you need to make it habitual. Now, it takes between 66 days to 365 days for something, an activity, an action to become ingrained in the unconscious. And because I've been doing that for such a long time now, it's now easy for me to think about my business. It's now easy for me to block time in a certain way and become more efficient in my transitions between the things that are important to me. Because it's become habitual, and therefore I don't really have to think about it. It's second nature to me. I like driving a car. Once you've passed and you've become an experienced driver, it's much easier. You don't have to think things through. You don't feel overwhelmed cognitively. And that's where I need you to be. But, that takes time. So we'll move on to that. But now that you now understand what the differences are between things that are urgent, things that are important, and one of the things that I was just teaching you, which I'll go back to now, is in the workplace, you might be reactive. I gave examples of that. But also in your own time, in your own leisure time, you might be reactive as well. What do I mean by being reactive? Well, most people wake up and the very first things that they do is they look at their phone and they start going on social platforms. They'll start reacting to messages and WhatsApps and Twitter, and start making phone calls and start responding to their emails instantly. And the only problem is when you do that, especially when you do that quite early on upon waking, whereas when you're still in your alpha brainwave state, the most powerful brainwave state to be in for accelerated learning, for critical awareness, for you to be very creative, your kind of best time to recondition your unconscious, that is. People kind of throw that away. They throw their prime, if you will, for the day. They throw away their best time to be focused and attentive and to reflect and to be creative and these sort of things. And they give it and they start using their phone. And when you use your phone, that's when you kind of trigger your unconscious to come back to life. You trigger your own ego. Because when you start responding to your friends and family and people you know on social networking and all these sorts of things, it grounds you back into your identity. And you begin to set the pattern into motion as to what you're used to. And you begin to be reactive, and you begin to give your time and focus and energy to other people. Other people then have your time, your focus, your energy, other brands, other businesses, other companies, other people, your friends, your clients, your colleagues, whatever it might be. And that can be extremely hazardous. So I just need you to become cognizant of what you're doing when you wake up and you start becoming reactive and you don't take control and you don't block out time for what's important in your life, such as the exercise, such as the meditation, such as the learning, the reading, the thought-provoking, brainstorming, being creative, and these sorts of things. Okay, so instead, I need you to learn to take action immediately upon learning something new. So whenever you do learn something, you take action. That's what taking action should be about, learning new things, not doing the same thing over and over repetitiously. Otherwise, that should be delegated, and we'll move on to that later as well. But take action immediately upon learning something new. Why? I'm sure you could answer that actually. The reason why we need to take action as soon as we learn something interesting, insightful, useful, is to build momentum. So as soon as you learn something, you think you can apply it to your business, to your health, to your wealth, to your relationships, whatever it might be, you need to apply it. You need to start making it stick. Because you've now kind of opened up a gateway. You've now stimulated your neurons. You've now created new pathways or potential pathways within your brain and your emotions and so on and so forth. And you need to do something to really deeply embed these neural pathways. And you can only begin that process by immediately working on what you've learned. So, for example, you're listening to me now and you've probably learned something interesting. Well, I hope so already upon listening to this podcast. Now, what I'm saying is you should take whatever you've learned from this podcast and essentially apply it to your life however you can immediately. Because if you just listen to this podcast and you're like, yeah, that was really cool, Alex. Thanks for that, man. I feel inspired. I feel motivated. Yeah, let me get back to my normal lifestyle. No. You're going to go back to your normal ways. You're going to go back to what's familiar. You're going to listen to your subconscious programs and you're going to shut down and you're not actually going to remember what you've just learned upon listening to this podcast. Because, ladies and gents, there is a forgetting curve. That's right. Shockingly and disturbingly, when we learn something new, we can actually forget up to 80% of what we've learned within just 48 hours. That is staggering. And that is very shocking stuff. And it's something we need to be aware of. Which is why I say to you, we need to constantly relearn, constantly revisit, constantly retrieve the information that we've just learned in order to make it stick. So yes, take action in key important areas to us, work on what's important to us. But also when you've learned something useful, maybe from a role model or a mentor or a colleague or a peer, you need to apply it, guys. So that's one of the tips that I give you now, and something that you should be making notes right now and should be ready as soon as this podcast is over to go, you know what, let's rock and roll, baby. I'm going to start to apply some of these strategies. And we need to start our momentum by taking action. Just simply sitting, critiquing, reflecting, thinking, one day I'll do this. That's a very dangerous game to play. You're going to want to apply whatever you've learned. You're going to need to build that momentum, one activity at a time, okay? So when you're learning things and you're thinking about taking action, we have to get our ideas down in a list on paper. Because if you just keep it in your brain, firstly, you're going to be overwhelmed. And I spoke about that in depth in one of my recent podcasts about stress. And instead, we have to write it down somewhere. So take a moment to think about how you capture new learnings, new material, and you start to write down your to-do list and all these sorts of things. Where do you pop these things? Is it in your phone? Is it in the notes app within your phone? Do you write it down? Do you have a specific notebook? Do you have a diary? Where do you pop these down? Do you pop it on some kind of software on your desktop or Microsoft Word? Genuinely, practically think about where you put these things down. And become cautious, because if you're constantly writing tons and dozens of things on the same file in the same way, well, what's going to happen? Well, you're probably not going to revisit this information, or probably not for a long, long time, because this file is going to become huge, right? Because you're going to always, if you're like me, you're constantly getting down different ideas. You're constantly being creative, constantly innovating, constantly thinking new things, learning new things, and so on and so forth. So you're going to want to develop a system, guys. You're definitely going to want to develop a system. And that can be to section the different things you're working on into certain projects. So you might want to create certain files, certain notes for key areas in your life. So you might want to make a moment now. Okay, whatever. We'll roll with that. You might want to take a moment to firstly write down the key priorities in your life, and then provide a separate brainstorm for each one of these where you write down a whole host of different things that you need to do, your to-do list, if you will. And now, my friends, we need to essentially evaluate these action items. And we need to rank them in terms of importance. So take a moment. You've got your brainstorm. You've got several different action items now. You now need to write them down 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 50, depending on how big your action item list is. And whatever order you want, 1 being the most important or 50 being the most important, however you work, however you want to utilize it. But you're going to need to evaluate them. Otherwise, you could be spending so much time working on things that are useful, don't get me wrong, but things that aren't going to make that big shift. Remember, 20% of what we do creates 80% of the results. We have to bear that in mind. So we have to be smart with where we put our attention and so on and so forth. And now we need to set appropriate deadlines for these action items. Now, this is really interesting stuff because to a degree, we need to be realistic. Like, you can't say you want to launch a very difficult or complicated product or service within a week, especially if there are other people involved. The more people involved, the more complex the ideas are, it's obviously going to take longer. And I don't want you to set unrealistic deadlines for these action items because you're setting yourself up for failure. And you're going to put yourself off. You're going to overly stress yourself out. And some people can end up breaking and giving up. Okay, so be careful with this. And along the same vein, we also want to put pressure on ourselves as well to step up. We need to set high standards. We need to take massive action. And that doesn't mean doing one small item once a month and then expecting your life to completely transform immediately. It's not going to happen. So we need the right kind of, it's like a delicate balance we're playing with here, guys. We need to be fair. And we also need to understand, guys, when setting deadlines, if it's only you working on the deadline, and if it's within your circle of competence, if you will, if it's an area that you specialize in, you know a lot about that topic, you know exactly what you need to do, then it's not bad at all to be quite unreasonable and quite harsh with the deadlines. You can make your deadline shorter. You can expect yourself to take crazy action on a daily basis leading up to this deadline because it falls within your area of competence. Now, if it doesn't fall within your area of competence, if you're relying on other people's specialisms, if it's an area like where you start working on a topic and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know that I have to do this, and then other things start popping up because you don't know the topic that well, now you're getting in trouble and now you're going to stress yourself out. So also, you might want to, in brackets, write down how skilled you are in that particular area. And this is very important, guys, extremely important. So now we've set deadlines, we've got our action items, we've evaluated them in terms of importance. Now we move on to another key vital component here. And we also need to write down why we must complete these tasks. What do we want to achieve here? And I do some brilliant activities in my masterminds, guys, where we really delve in deep. You learn things that you never even knew about yourself. Like, you learn something so deep, so insightful, and you learn something so crucial to your personality, to your identity, to how you work, your deep-rooted beliefs. And that's why I advocate you come to join us at my masterminds as well. Really powerful, beautiful stuff. But for now, it's really important for you to write down why you must achieve this, because that's what's going to give you that passion, that drive, that enthusiasm, that motivation to keep going, even when things are not going our way. So, for example, why do you want, let's make some things up. Why do you want to market a product really well? Well, you want to market it well so you can let more and more people know who are interested. And so that you can also not only know who's interested and start to approach the customers who are already warm to us and, customers who could be warm to us down the line, but also to kind of repel people who won't be interested in us. And that's part of marketing as well. It's like the elimination process. And that's really important stuff also. So why do we want to market our product? Well, we want to expose our products to more and more people who are potentially interested in what we have to offer, right? Now we have to go another step deeper. Why do we want to expose more and more people to our products? So we can serve more and more people. Why? Also, so we can make more and more money. Why? So we can grow and reinvest in our business. Why? So we can become international, for instance. Why? So I can feel significant. Why? Because I want to feel in control. I want to feel like I'm living a purpose. I want to feel like I'm making a difference to the world, and so on and so forth. We can keep going on and on and on. So it's really important. Even the tiniest action item, you can still break that down, and it will play its role in leading to certain outcomes and certain reasons as to why we want to achieve them and complete them. Okay, so make a moment now. That's definitely my phrase of the podcast today. Make a moment. Take a moment to write down not only the action items, not only to evaluate them, but also to write down what role they play and why you must achieve them. Okay, that's going to give us the impetus to push forward. And this is also something that's really important. We will want to organize our to-do list into sections. I mentioned this earlier. And this is really important stuff here because I don't know about you, but I used to become so stressed out because I had a million action items every single day, and I was never or very, very rarely achieving all of them. Essentially, like I said earlier, setting yourself up for failure. And it can really make you miserable. And I'm a winner. I'm a serial winner. I am someone who pushes themselves even to the brink of complete mental, physical, emotional, goddamn spiritual exhaustion. And, it was unfair. You don't need to do that. But, you beat yourself up because you do so much and you still feel like you're not getting ahead, even though you've done some tremendous work on most occasions. And that's why, yes, it's good to have an action item list. Yes, it's good to know what's important. But we need to kind of utilize what's a technique called chunking. So we need to relate these action items to a topic. And you kind of did that earlier, to be fair, where you did the brainstorm. So when I got you to write down areas that are important to you, what I want you to understand is that as long as you are doing something important, something significant that enables you to meet the goal as to what was important to you, whether it is to support your family, to improve your business, to increase your wealth, to become healthier, to become stronger, to lose weight, whatever you might want to do. As long as you are doing something important every single day that pushes you closer to that attainment, then you should consider it a successful day. Now, this is really important here because we need to link success and happiness to our hard work. Otherwise, a lot of people out there are just not going to make it. We will wilt, we will quit, we will break unless we learn to celebrate our successes. And if you've done something today that's taken you one step closer to achieving your goals, then you should be proud of yourself. So yes, I'm not saying get rid of your to-do list. Yes, still evaluate. But this is more of a mindset. This is more about keeping you on track, building momentum, ensuring that you continue to take action. That's what this podcast is about, taking massive action. Dude, you're not going to take massive action in the long term unless you start rewarding yourself and you start being fair and you start to appreciate that you are every single day moving towards achieving your goals. All right, I had to put that out there. This is really important stuff, guys. Because, some people are listening to this and thinking, it's all right, Alex, man, I'm just going to keep going, dude. I'm going to keep plugging forth. I need to complete all the actions, dude. You're going to burn out. You're going to burn out. There comes a point, because otherwise you'll start getting more colds, more flus. You'll get more stressed out. You become less productive because you're probably going to be missing out on sleep and all these sort of things. It's going to lead to an imbalanced lifestyle where you start to, your relationships could start falling apart and all these sort of things. You don't need to take it that far. Yes, take massive action, but congratulate yourself, reward yourself, appreciate your hard work, appreciate your skills, appreciate that you are developing. That's so important, guys, to be kind to yourself, because, if you're not kind to yourself, then why should anyone else be? So this is really important stuff. I know this podcast is primarily about taking action, planning, moving forward and these sort of things, but this is not about abuse. We've got to steer clear of any kind of masochist mentality. No, it's not about that. Okay, so now that I've done the humanitarian side of things, the ethical side, let's continue. So as long as you can set time aside to key areas in your life, then you will accomplish a lot and with less stress. That's what this is about, guys. Because the more stressed you become, and stress is linked to fear, right? Stress is one type of, if you chunk what stress is, stress links to anxiety and anxiety links to fear. Okay, we have to understand this. And we need to reduce the amount of stress in our lives, because most of us, 70% of our lives is spent in chronic stress, and that's unhealthy and it's unnatural. Let's continue. So before we take action, we need to decide upon what the outcome is. So every time you have a meeting, or you're chatting with your colleague or your employer or your employee, or whenever you kind of have a meeting with yourself, whenever you have take a moment to brainstorm, be creative, think about your innovative ideas and so on and so forth, you have to have an outcome. What's the purpose? What must you achieve? Because that's what you come back to in the end. Have you ever been part of a meeting where you sat there for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and at the end of it, you're like, that was a waste of time. We didn't come up with anything. We didn't move forward at all. We just chatted, went back and forth through lots of ideas, but we didn't achieve our purpose. We didn't even discuss our outcome. We just had a chat and it feels like you wasted all that time. That's because you need to set the agenda at the start. Whether it be with yourself, when you're self-reflecting, you need to set out the agenda. What's the outcome? Whether it's a big, important meeting, what's the outcome? That's what you address first, and that's what you constantly come back to. Because that's the key important thing here. And sometimes people will start a meeting with the outcome and then totally digress and be led astray because of a whole host of different reasons. And then they won't come back to the main things that they wanted to accomplish. They didn't actually really move forward. They just talked a lot. Feel like something happened, but there was no change. So we have to decide what the outcome is in advance. You can do that on your own, or you can do that within your team, but it must be done. Otherwise, you will not stay on track. You will veer off the path. So we must make it a must and not a should. Otherwise, what we really want to achieve, the activities, the tasks, the actions, they will not get done, guys. Again, I'm going back to mindset here, aren't I? If your action items are shoulds to you, things that you should do, well, guess what? You will come up with excuses. You will come up with reasons that, and to be fair, sometimes valid reasons why they won't get done. Yeah, you'll think things like, oh, I know I need to exercise today, but damn, I need to prep food. Or, man, I should meditate. I know how good it is for me. I know it's going to keep me centered. I know it's going to make my day better. I know it's going to give me clarity for the day ahead. But damn, I've got to watch this show. This show is important and I've got to watch it. Do you know what I mean? These are just some random examples, but it's true, guys. We need to make them must. If it's not a must, and listen, have you ever known someone who managed to complete millions of really important things every single day? And you're like, how the hell does this person do it? They're like a machine. The reason why they are able to do it because they have their musts in order. It's a must to them. Like if you look at someone who's accomplished a lot in terms of their business and so on and so forth, this is a person where they didn't give themselves, they burned their bridges, so to speak. There was no other option. It was a must. They had to make it happen. And so they sacrificed, they put themselves on the line, and they stepped up sometimes when they were up to it, sometimes when they weren't, but they kept showing up until they learned from their mistakes. They pushed forward, they broke through their barriers, and they accomplished what they wanted to achieve. And it's only done, guys, when it's a must. And I'm here to tell you that if you're not currently achieving what you want to achieve in your life, and if you feel like you're not on track, then it's because it's not a must for you at the moment. It's a should. You know, is breathing a must? Hell yes, it's a must. We need to survive. Is drinking water, keeping hydrated, a must? Is eating food a must for us? Of course, otherwise we will die. But we need to take that same kind of intensity and use it in areas that are really important to us. It is a must that I communicate and express love and joy and gratefulness to my family. That's a must. It's not a should. It's a must that I invest so much time, energy, money, focus into my business. It is a must. And that's why I step up every day, many, many hours, every single day, because it's a must. It's not a should. If it's a should, it fizzles out. It gets pushed aside. And that's an important part here, guys. I need you to take a moment to consider whether the key areas that you wrote down as part of your brainstorms, are they shoulds or are they musts for you? And if they are musts, then where are they placed every single day as part of your daily schedule? Where are they? What time do you give it? In fact, when are you at your best? Right now, take a moment to reflect. Yes, I got it right. Take a moment. Hey. Make a moment. So take a moment to think about when you are at your best in the day. And literally pay attention to when you are most focused, when you are at your sharpest, your wittiest, your most focused, your most intelligent, your most creative. When is it? Now, firstly, you can move towards answering that question accurately by thinking like, are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? Or are you an evening person? Once you understand that, you also have to understand, okay, what time frame are you at your best? And are you at your best for an hour? 2 hours? 4 hours? When during the day are you at your best? And how long does it tend to last? When you are like clinical, I'm talking about. When you are like, I am in the zone. I'm kicking ass. I'm on it. I'm focused. I'm doing stuff. Things are flowing. When are you at your best during the day? And when you know that, what you need to do is you need to find a way. And I know everyone's lifestyle is different. We're all at different stages in our lives and careers and so on and so forth. But you need to make time for what's most important to you, things that are musts. And you need to allocate your best time for these most important areas. So if it's a must for you to lose weight and train, for example, then you need to allocate that time for when you are at your best. Let's say you're an evening person and it takes you a lot to get going. In the morning, you're not on it. Your brain is foggy. Your synapses, your neurons aren't firing on all cylinders. You ease into the day, and then at night, when most people are kind of getting ready for bed, that's when you come alive and you get most of your magic done, your creativity, your flow, and so on and so forth. If that's you and you like to train, and your priority is to exercise, lose weight, or gain muscle, whatever it is, then that's when you go and train. That's when you push yourself. And the same thing for me. I mean, I'm I do like my coffees, I must say. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. But I've also taken this kind of system to an extreme, because I only cash in on my strong coffees when I'm working on the most important things for the day. And that enables me to be at my best, at my peak, in the best emotional, mental state for that significant period when I really need to step up. So take a moment to jot these down, to reflect upon when you're at your best. What do you have to drink or eat to be at your best normally? What is your go-to move? Maybe it's not coffee for you. Maybe it's a tea or green tea. Or maybe it's junk food. Or maybe it's having a big salad that makes you really refreshed and feeling light and ready to rock and roll. Take a moment to think about when you're at your best. Or maybe at your best after you have a little nap. Yeah, really think about these things. Everyone's different. But we need to turn it into a must for us. And we need to allocate our best time for what our musts are. And speaking of mindset and psychology, I'm also going to teach you something else really cool. And it's the importance of using powerful vocabulary to get you to take action. Because let's face it, some days you're going to wake up and you're going to feel, you know what, I feel like crap. This is not going to be one of those days where I'm firing all cylinders. I'm not going to smash it today. I can feel it. It's not going to be one of those days. You just need to show up. And more often than not, I promise you, you'll end up, most of the time, doing even better than you anticipated. Because sometimes we're at our best when we take pressure off ourselves. And when you just show up and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm going to ease into it. And, if I wake up and get at my best, so be it. Then I'll get a lot done. If not, at least I can say I showed up and I sat there, or I went there, or I did the activity. And when you take that pressure off, more often than not, you end up stepping up even more so. So bear that in mind. That's another little psychological tool. Now, going back to what I said about making something a must, and going back to powerful vocabulary, I'm going to teach you a couple of strategies. And mostly it's using descriptive, emotive language. So it's like focusing on the adjectives you use, generally speaking, to communicate things to yourself. So if you're trying to get yourself to captivate an audience, say you're going to do a presentation, then you need to use powerful vocabulary. You'll need to use figurative language like metaphors and similes and these sort of things as well. Because what I like to do, say if I'm about to go on stage and inspire, motivate, get people to take action, teach people things, get them to learn, get them to focus their attention on me, then I will say to myself things along the lines of, I am Les Brown, or I am the powerful Tony Robbins. Or if I'm trying to get myself into a business mentality, I'll go, I am Grant Cardone. I am Gary Vee. Yeah? Or, if I'm going to do some sparring and do some boxing, I am Mike Tyson. I am Muhammad Ali, and so on and so forth. You get the gist. These are powerful metaphors that you can use. But it's also the vocabulary, the descriptions you use are also vital here as well, guys. I mean, if I asked you, what are your plans for the day? And you said to me, I've got some decent work I need to do. I mean, that is not very enlightening. That is not inspiring. That's not going to jack you up and get you ready to push and give your best and genuinely enjoy the process. Instead, you should, if I said that to you, what are your plans for them? I'm going to say, you know what? I'm going to tackle this tremendous work that's going to absolutely make a massive shift in my life. So you had adjectives like tremendous, you had adjectives like massive when describing the shift. And this is powerful emotive vocabulary, guys, that you will want to use in order to push yourself forward. It's really important. Now it's not just when you're having conversations with people, with your mentors and what have you, or your coaches or what have you. This is about using this vocabulary internally. When you have that inner dialogue with yourself, you need to be able to influence yourself. That's what leaders do, guys. Leaders, winners, take massive action. They keep going forward. Whether they think they're going to win or they're facing an uphill battle and they think, you know what, they might be defeated, they might not complete all the things they wanted to. Either way, they are going in. And leaders are able to influence themselves and therefore influence others. But first, we must influence ourselves. Yeah, Stephen Covey has this brilliant quotation. And he says, seek first to... I'm totally butchering this quote. I can't remember it exactly. I'm paraphrasing. But it's essentially on the lines of seek to understand someone else and rather than having them to understand you. Yeah? You are able to influence someone else when they feel understood, not when you feel understood. It's really powerful stuff. And that's all about building rapport, and it's all about leading yourself, leading others, using powerful vocabulary, keeping on track, building that momentum, taking massive action, evaluating, always working on what's important, and not letting yourself be led astray. Don't be someone who's easily influenced. That's what weak people do. Don't be a sheep. Do not be a sheep. You need to lead the way. If you are someone in your life and you are easily manipulated, you are easily led astray, if all it takes is for your friend to say, dude, have this donut, man, this donut is the shit, and you just give in, even though you know that's going to put you off your diet, even though that's going to make you lose trust within yourself, even though that's going to set you back 1, 2, 3, 4 days, even though that's going to make you stressed out and anxious. Well, maybe not anxious, there's a bit of hyperbole, a bit of exaggeration, but you know what I'm saying. If you are someone who's on a night out, and you're driving, and then and your mate says to you, listen, just have a couple of drinks. It's all right, dude. Let's have a few shots, man. I never get to see you. Let's do this. And you cave in, and you knew you shouldn't. When you knew you must not. Then, shame on you. You're a sheep. You are easily influenced. And those who are easily influenced will never take massive action towards achieving their biggest, deepest goals. It's just not going to happen. So refuse to be led astray. Sometimes it's good to be obstinate. Sometimes it's good to be stubborn, guys. Not always, because sometimes we need to be open-minded. We have a growth mindset. But if you truly believe in something, if you know something is supporting the quality of your life or those around you with whom you love, then you need to go with that with so much fortitude and faith that nothing can put you off. Nothing can put you off. You can't be docile. You can't be easily led astray. Do not be a sheep, guys. Keep focused. Write out your goals. That's another way to keep focused. To take massive action, you need to write out your goals. You need to have compelling, exciting, uplifting goals. Otherwise, it will fizzle out. It won't last long. So, genuinely speaking, we have to influence our habits. And our habits are subconscious programs. In fact, 95%, up to 95%, or maybe even more, of our thoughts, our behaviors, our perceptions every single day are actually subconscious programs. We have hardwired ourselves to be a certain way for most of the day. 90% or even more of our thoughts are exactly the same as the previous day. That's crazy. That's why we have to work so hard to take massive action, to focus on what's important, to know why we want to accomplish these things, to know what the outcome is going to be, to evaluate our action items, to know what's important, to know what's going to make the biggest shifts in our day-to-day lives. And to keep working towards those, whether we hit or miss, as long as we're working towards what's important, we will accomplish big things, guys. It's just the way it works. I have a saying that goes, if you do the right thing at the right time and with the right intentions, then you will achieve your dreams. If you do that consistently, the right thing, right time, the right intentions, the right motivations, it's going to happen. And not only will you build momentum, but things will start to work in your favor. Have you ever had that? Where you were just doing things and everything just seemed to be hitting you. Maybe it was like a sporting event. And you were playing basketball. And every time you were throwing the ball, it was going in the net. You were like, whoa, what is going on? You hit the stride. You were doing the right things at the right timings, precisely. And with the right intentions, in your flow, only focus on the positive, only focus on being playful, being present in the moment. And things were just working out for you. It's not coincidental, guys. We create magic. I sound like a wizard. We create magic. Okay. So we need to decide what things we must do and also what you can delegate or delay if it's not vital or important to your growth. So take a moment now. You've done your list, or you should have done your list, or you're thinking of doing your list in terms of what's important to you and what the action items are and evaluating them. Now is the time where we have to make some really key decisions here, because this next part and the last part of this podcast is really significant, because if you mess this up, it could delay your progress in these key areas drastically. And we want to proliferate our progress. We want to grow exponentially. And you can do that by learning from your mistakes, but also making the right choices. So here we go. So you know what you must do. Now you must decide, are you the man or the woman for the job? Does it fall within your circle of competence? Is it your specialism? Is it your biggest aptitudes? Are you adept in these areas, or are you an amateur? Are you just good in these areas? Now, if you're good, and you have to be realistic here, guys, otherwise you're going to set yourself back big time. You have to be realistic here. We have to self-reflect accurately. Your to-do list, the things that you need to do to achieve your biggest goals, all the actions you need to take. Are you the person to do them all? Some of them? Which ones? Decide now. And the others, the things that you think, you know what, I'm good at it, but I'm not brilliant at it. I'm not excellent at it. I'm not a specialist in these areas. What you need to now do is do one of two things. You need to think about whether you need to delegate it or not. Now, by delegation, I'm not just saying throw it to someone else completely. You will need to work alongside, you will need to liaise with this person with whom you're going to delegate to, or this department with whom you're going to delegate it to. And you need to constantly check in with them, because, you know, there might be a lot of misconceptions, or something might be gone amiss and they could have done something more quickly, or you could have given them deeper insight and made them work better or more efficiently or effectively, whatever it may be. You need to work alongside them. Yes, delegate to the right people, but always catch up with them. Don't just say, you know, I'm going to be back with you in 3 weeks. I want it all done. No. Delegate. Make sure they feel supported. Build a strong culture and community here, whether it be with your family, with your friends, in your business, with your investors. Build a strong community. Delegate appropriately. That's what I like to call it. Delegate appropriately. Or, if you don't want to delegate it for whatever reason, if you can't do it because it's not your speciality, then is it something that you should delay? Is it something that you can put into the background for a while? Or is it something that you need to eliminate? Is it unnecessary upon deeper reflection? Is it not really going to make a difference? Is it you just trying to be perfect, which we can never attain, as we know? If it's about making something perfect, you might want to eliminate it. Because the more you try to be perfect, the less action you will take. And that's exactly how I want to end this podcast. We're not going to get perfect, guys. It's all about showing up consistently every single day, putting a lot of time, energy, finances, focus, whatever it is, into these key actions, these key important needle movers, and keeping yourself motivated and on track, not letting yourself be led astray. So if you like this material, you want to know more about me, guys, I suggest you do. Check me out. I'm on Instagram, AlexGem_power. Add me, follow me. Let's do this. Check out my material. Add me on Facebook. Check out my Facebook page, Power, Happiness, Success, PHS. Find the page. Follow. Let's do this. Find my YouTube channel, Alex Gem, guys. Look me up, subscribe, click the notifications button. I produce new material every single week. Come join the team. Check out my website. I must say I'm very proud of my website. Beautiful. So much content, so much material, very clear, very easy to find. Everything you need to take the quality of your life to the highest level, guys. I cannot wait to work with you. www.alexgem.com. If you want to improve the quality of your life, I have an advanced course. Once you go to my website, firstly, I'm offering a free ebook. Oh my God, sign up, get it. Are you crazy? 10 steps to excellence, breaking down everything the best do in the world that I've spent years researching what the best of the best do. I've experienced trial and error, learning what works for me, what increases my energy, my productivity, my feelings of success, my inner power, my resilience. And I've done it in a book for free for you. Go, get it. Expose yourself to my content. And since you're at my website, as I was saying earlier, all you need to do is click where it says join PHS today. Enter your credit card details. You'll gain instant access to my elite course, the Power Happiness Success Solution. Check out the system, guys. We go from wherever you are now, whether you are someone who is successful, happy, thriving, and you want to take your life to the next level. Or if you're someone who's like depressed, really sad, feeling helpless, you're not taking much action, you feel a little bit lost, you've got low self-esteem, that's okay. We will work together, guys. Join the course. Join the system. Follow the process. Watch the videos, the audio segments, the material, the worksheets are sensational, guys. They will make such a big difference. Not only that, I've thrown free incredible bonuses in there. Hours of exclusive video footage, podcast material, and exclusive audio segments. 100 audio segments for free to help you to make that shift. You are welcome. All of that together is worth $1,200. I'm not selling it anywhere near that. Go to my website, check it out. When you see the price, you're going to explode or something really exciting is going to happen. Go check it out. Go learn. Come join me at my mastermind, guys. I offer, you can find it at my website as well, the Power Mastermind. Holy cow. You thought this podcast was deep. Are you kidding me? Come join my mastermind. I would love to meet you in person, to work with you one-to-one, to delve in deep. The activities in this mastermind are ridiculous. It is so deep. It is so insightful. You're going to learn things about yourself that you've never, ever learned before. These activities, I make myself do them on a yearly basis, and I always learn new material to make that shift, to make that difference in my life. And you should come and join too. If you can't make it live, I offer virtual versions as well. Sign up for that. If you can't put yourself forward for the virtual version for a whole day or two with me, that's okay. I've turned the mastermind into a course. The Power Mastermind course. You can see me work live with a group, and we work together, the collective genius in that room, and you can see us completing those same activities together. So you get deep insights from people who are live at that event. So you hear me deliver them, so you know what to expect, why you need to do these activities, and so on and so forth. And on top of that, in this course, you can actually see me complete the activities, the very activities you're going to do. So you can understand my thought process, my journey, what I've been through, and you can learn from them as well. And you can have a better understanding as to how you should be completing these activities. Come join us. Cannot wait to work with you, and I'll see you soon. Take it easy, guys.